Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. I recently did a poll on my Instagram whether you guys wanted to see I copied so-and-so's Instagram for a week or a Dan and Phil story time, and the majority of you guys said the Dan and Phil story time, so let's get into the video. So as most of you guys know, or at least the people who have followed me on Instagram for a while, I have been watching Dan and Phil for the better part of 9 years. And I've met some of my closest friends through watching Dan and Phil. I've met some of my best internet friends through watching Dan and Phil, and I've just been part of the fandom for nearly 10 years. So once tickets for Interactive Introverts were announced, I hinted every single time I could to my mum. I was like, "Mum, please, like they're going on tour, and they just happened to be going to the Olympia right beside where we live." And she went to an internet cafe one day and she was like, "Okay, I'm going to try and get you a ticket." And so she went to the cafe. She was like, "I couldn't get a VIP ticket. Is a normal ticket okay?" I was like, "Yes, just as long as I get to be there, yes." She came home with the ticket and said, "It's on your bed, go and get it." I opened it up and it was VIP, and I literally just fell to the floor sobbing. And my mom even rang my Nona, who got me the ticket, and said, I just gave her the ticket. My Nona was like, "Is she happy about it?" And my mom was like, "She's on the floor sobbing. I think we broke her. I think we may have actually broken her this time." And I couldn't believe it. I was actually going to meet the two guys who have impacted my life in such a large way. And in the email that you get when you buy a ticket, it says that you can bring one item to be signed and you can get a photo that Dan will take on your phone. And so I decided to bring my diary from last year, which last year was when my mental health got really bad. And I decided to bring that to get signed because on the first page at the very bottom it says Dan and Phil are the only thing making me smile nowadays. So I thought it would have a lot more meaning to me to get that signed rather than one of their books. So when I was lining up for the meet and greet, these two lovely girls came over to me and said, "We're part of the Dan and Phil project on Instagram. Do you want to take part in it?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, of course." And so they gave me a piece of paper that said, "Thank you, Dan and Phil, for," and you could write whatever you want underneath it, what you were thankful for gaining from watching their videos, and they gave you a marker. I wrote, "Thank you, Dan and Phil, for making me smile when nobody else could." And so once you get inside the venue, once you've lined up, you have the option to either go to the merch stall and buy a bit of merch before you go to the meet and greet, or stay in your line and just continue on forward towards the meet and greet area. I stayed in my line because I was already at quite far back, and it was a really long fucking line. So I stayed where I was and I got closest to the meet and greet area, and you could see the sheet where they were standing behind, and everyone, you could just feel the atmosphere just completely shift once they started to get within your line of eyesight, and the whole atmosphere was just incredible. And so there was a place on the side for any fan letters you've brought or any small gifts that you brought for them. So I placed my letter onto the side, and then you have these two guys who will take what you're getting signed off you so that your hands are free to hug the guys. And so the next person that met them left, and then it was my turn. And as soon as Phil turns to you, he just completely just envelopes you into a hug, and he does this. His hugs are the best. What everyone says on Twitter, his hugs really are the best. He does this thing where if he senses that you're nervous or shaking, he will hug you tighter or give you another hug, and he'll stroke your arm to try and get you to calm down. And it was honestly so sweet. And I had everything planned in my head what I was going to say when I first met them, but as soon as I started hugging Phil, the first thing out of my mouth was, "Oh Christ, you're tall," because I'm barely 5'2", and those guys are over 6 foot, and they're literally giants. If you didn't know what their personalities were like and you met them, you would honestly be quite intimidated and terrified. And so once Phil finishes hugging you, Dan starts to hug you, and Dan's hugs are quite different to Phil's hugs because Dan has really bad social anxiety. I think everyone in the fandom knows that. So he tends to just give you a side hug, which in itself is quite a huge thing because he's literally putting himself out of his comfort zone to make the fans happy. And even though it's not a full hug like Phil, it still makes you feel really fucking special. And so once you finish hugging the guys, the employee, the member of staff will hand Phil whatever it is you're getting to sign. And so he hands Phil my diary, and I had covered the rest of the entry except that little line at the bottom, and I didn't cover the date or anything so that they knew it was from last year. And I pointed it out why I was getting them to sign the diary. They read it and then looked up at me and said that is honestly the sweetest thing ever. We'll never stop trying to make you smile. And so once they finished signing the diary, Dan took my phone to take the selfie, and I was getting them on Instagram stories. So he said, okay, I'll take more than one, I'll take two. And so I took off my glasses for photographs like I usually do, and I blurted out, oh, I like taking pictures without my glasses makes me so anxious because I don't know how I look. And then Phil was just like, I can relate. And then as soon as I took my glasses off, I was like, oh, I can already tell that I'm going to look so ugly in this picture. And then Dan turns to me and goes, stop, you're beautiful. And I honestly couldn't find any words to say after that. And so Dan hands me my phone back after taking the selfies, and they give me one last hug. And then once you leave the meet and greet area, you get your wristband cut off so that, they know that everyone has met them and no one's left behind. And then I had 2 hours to spare after the meet and greet before the show actually began. So I went shopping, I got my mom jeans, and I was proudly showing off my Interactive Introverts meet and greet bag as I was walking through O'Connell Street. And then it was time for me to go back to the venue, so I bought an introverted hat from the merch stall because I bought, in all honesty, I bought it because I felt like if I wore it out in public, my hope was that once people read what the cap saw, they wouldn't come over and talk to me. That I can't lie, that was literally the reason why I bought the cap. And because I was going on my own to the show, I was quite nervous that I'd feel a bit, not lonely, but I'd feel like I wouldn't have that much of a great time as I probably would have if I went with a friend. But as soon as I sat down, the girl next to me, such a lovely girl. I became such good friends with her and her dad in such a short space of time, and we just spent the entire night fangirling and just completely loving life that night. And because I was in the third row, I kept making eye contact with Dan and Phil, and it's such a simple thing, but just that kind of few seconds where like they look at you when you're in a crowd, it makes you feel all the more special because you're just like, oh, like even though like I'm obviously like in the first few rows, so I am going to be one of the people they look at when they're doing the show, it still makes you feel like. And during the interval, I won't spoil any of the show because Dan and Phil said no filming or no giving spoilers for the show so that people who have yet to see the tour, they don't get spoiled. But there's this part in the first half of the show where stuff is written on a piece of paper and is thrown to the audience. And on this specific paper, it said Benedict Cumberbatch. And the front row, they started ripping it up so that everyone in the rows would have something to bring home from the show. And the two girls in front of me, they ripped it in a very, very convenient place because the two girls in front of me had the words on two pieces of separate paper, the words come and back. And then after the show, I finally met one of my internet friends who lives in Dublin too, so technically not an internet friend, but I finally met my friend Emily, and it was just amazing. I finally met her. We just fangirled about Tom Holland and about Dodie and about Dan and Phil, and it was just the whole night was just amazing, and it just really tied off what has been such a great year for me. I I met Melanie Murphy last August, I met Dodie last October after a concert, I met Rose and Rosie last April, and now I've met Dan and Phil, and I'm just blessed to be able to say that I met all of the YouTubers who have impacted my life in such a huge way all in the space of a year. And before I go, Marianne gets such a bad rep. Like, I know on Twitter, because of the whole no filming and meet and greets, she does get a pretty bad name amongst the fandom, but she was honestly so lovely. She stood beside me when I was in line for the meet and greet because she knew I was alone, and she kept talking to me, and she complimented me on my dress and my eye colour. A lot of people actually complimented me on my eye colour that night. And my eyeliner whiskers that I did on my cheek. And she's just, I don't know why people hate her so much, because she's just doing her job. Like, she's lovely, but at the end of the day, she does have to make some tough decisions and say some tough things to the fans just to ensure the boys' safety and our safety. So thanks, Marianne. So thank you guys for watching me ramble about meeting Dan and Phil. Again, this isn't me bragging or anything. This is just me making a video to basically give thanks to both Dan and Phil and my mum and my grandparents, who have always supported whoever I wanted to meet or whoever I wanted to thank in person in regards to celebrities and in regards to famous people. And also because I wanted to share my meet and greet story time so that other people who either have VIP or are going to a VidCon or any other convention in the future, just to know that it is intimidating when you think about meeting them, but it's honestly, they make you feel so safe and so comfortable, and it's honestly such an amazing experience that everyone in the fandom should have and should really take if they have the opportunity to. So yeah. So yeah, thank you guys for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Doesn't upload for the next 5 months. I've literally become the female Dan Howell of YouTube. Speaking of...